key, rolling out this new partnership, of course, with the Consumer Choice here at the Big Talker FM. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11, you'll be able to hear Yaël and some of the global efforts that his organization are putting out there, representing consumers in over 100 countries around the globe. And Yaël, I caught a few things that you have penned and have commented on over the last week or so that I want to touch on here over the next few minutes. A couple of weeks back, I was in Louisiana for a football game, and I noticed on the car ride from the hotel to the stadium in Louisiana in particular, and I've had conversations with media members in that state, along with others like it, every billboard, it seemed like, was focused on some type of personal injury lawyer. Literally, every single billboard from my ride over 25 minutes from West Monroe, Louisiana to Monroe, Louisiana, one of the more economically depressed places in our country, was focused on, well, personal injury. And that leads us to a topic that I know you wanted to touch on surrounding the racket of injury lawyers that we see across the country. And a name that we may mention here in just a little while was once considered a leading candidate for the Democratic nomination for president until, well, he got sued by Nike for trying to extort them for money. His name, Michael Avenatti. Touch on the topic of these bogus lawsuits that we see and the extortion rackets that these injury lawyers put forward, all in the name of greed, in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, and it's great to hear your anecdote about going to Louisiana and seeing that. I mean, that's a mounting problem in places like Louisiana, like California, Illinois, Texas, Florida, Missouri. Many of these states have just seen a huge growth in the number of these bogus lawsuits. A lot of them are some of these commercials that you might see when you're sitting at home in between all the political ads of seeing Michael Bloomberg or Tom Steyer or any of these fellows. You get the ad about whatever problem that has come out there, and you might be entitled to compensation. This has been a huge advertising push by a lot of trial attorneys. Really, their goal is this. They find as many people as possible, lump them into a class action lawsuit, and pursue some big company for some exorbitant amount to hopefully get more money out of them and enrich themselves. Now, that, especially if it's a bogus or a frivolous lawsuit, that just is making things more expensive for normal consumers. These companies now have to hire teams and teams of lawyers. They need to spend all this money preparing defenses, coming up with stuff, even if the lawsuits are completely bogus. It's very bad. And this actually clogs up the normal tort system, the court system for you and me. If we're actually harmed and we have legitimate grievances, it's going to be hard to get in line because there's so many lawsuits against something like Burger King because they cooked their Impossible Burger near where the actual beef meat is cooked. Therefore, they have a $5 million lawsuit in Florida, or another lawsuit that was actually turned down this week, fortunately, was one in Los Angeles about the Johnson & Johnson baby powder. There hasn't really been any link that's been connected between baby powder and any of these ovarian cancers, but it's brought up again and again in court. And juries are kind of duped into thinking this by a lot of these experts that are brought in, and they put these fake studies and try to get these experts on the stand. And it's juries harmful, and it's not scientists, because scientists have come out with different conclusions. So you're going to see more and more of this across the country. A lot of these lawyers, again, have been in the game for a long time. It's big money for them. They get a huge percentage of every large payout. And there are constant cases of these lawyers getting caught and arrested because they're trying to extort many of these companies. There was a trial or a case that was just happened this week. One of the Virginia lawyers involved in the Monsanto Roundup, the first big case that came out that was $2 billion. This guy was actually arrested for trying to extort $200 million. And we saw the same with Michael Avenatti, the one-time Trump foe, who has became something like a cause célèbre for his connections to the Stormy Daniels case. He got arrested for trying to extort Nike over its tennis shoes and the connection to China. I mean, this is just going on and on. That's why we need legal reform. That's why we need to change the system. There's so much that can be done, and ordinary people cannot access the justice system if you got too many of these bogus lawsuits involved. So that's really what we're campaigning for.